Last up, John. Who?
De raisin in the sausage end, as we say in Danish. We'll see you Putin. Hi, John.
How's
And
it
can you hear
going?
me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can.
got you.
Hello, how are you?
Okay. It's been interesting.
What's happening?
And well, and my apologies if it gets noisy. This is a level one trauma center, so we just had a helicopter
Mhm.
landing and it's always loud. Um yeah, I was feeling we talked the last time about like you need a hug.
Yeah, yeah.
So I figured out my way of doing that at one level was I had been feeling really despondent, and so I decided that like instead of doing anything terrible about it, that I would go walk on the like walking track at the gym at
Mm.
the on the in the campus gym, and then just like walk until I either felt some other way or was just like too exhausted to think about how I felt. I actually ended up walking a half marathon that day. Um,
Still not
so
feeling anything.
yeah, yeah, but it's funny because I kept doing that approach of like let's just kind of like feel it in the body, but
Mm.
like give myself like the walking um and a bunch of different kind of things happened. I figured out the campus rec center uses river water as their water supply, so it's been like really treated, but it's like just above freezing. So I took some cold showers in that, and that was like a really good direct confrontation with like the mercilessness of God kind of aspect, and there's no room to think, and it's also I don't know weird. There may be some explicit belief of like I deserve to be punished.
Mm.
Um, like one of these days I was walking on the track and Google just knows too much. It sent me a YouTube recommendation from one of the people that I follow who's like a childhood trauma expert, and his video was like, are you really in trouble? And he started coming up with these examples like, say you started working at a new job and now you find yourself preoccupied with the thought that maybe you forgot to give some paperwork to HR, and it was like that. And then every single example I was like, oh, that and that and that and that. And I realized like, oh, it's so I feel like I'm in trouble or I'm about to mess something up so pervasively that I
Yeah,
haven't even noticed
yeah.
it because it's so deafeningly loud
It's the
that
default.
it's
Yeah,
like, well,
that's just
now,
how it is.
yeah, that
Yeah.
I just can't hear anything anymore. And so I think that was a way of confronting it. But at one point, I was on a walk and I asked myself, well, like, why am I here? Like, how have I not killed myself already? And a series of events occurred. I ended up looking up I had sent a photo of a statue, like a manifestation of like one of the warrior Buddhas from
Hmm.
Japan.
Yeah.
And they sent it to one of my other teachers. And he's like, oh, Kitskarbha Bodhisattva. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. But for whatever reason, while I was walking, right after I had that thought, I went and looked it up, and there's like different translations of it, but I think that the word is Ksiti, Ksiti, Garbha. Uh, it's a manifestation of a bodhisattva that has forgone, has taken a vow to forgo uh, Buddhahood until all beings are free.
Mm.
Mm.
And um, but when I Googled it, the little AI summary or whatever, like it said, you know, depicted as like a bald monk who travels with like a staff and a lantern or a pearl, and is the guardian of lost travelers and deceased children, and then beings trapped in hell in the lower realms.
Yeah.
Uh,
But like when I read that, I just started, and I'm like in a public place surrounded by people on this walking track when I read it, and I'm just start shaking uncontrollably and sobbing. And that, I guess I asked, and then I knew, like what a strange incarnation to, feel that there's nothing but purpose, and it doesn't matter how miserable I might feel. There's like this knowing that, you could manifest over and over and over, and you could show up in hell and undergo, the most brutal of torture with such poison, dignity, and compassion that the devils themselves would give up, and realize that was fruitless. And there's just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what's always been here. I don't really know what to do with any of it.
Do you feel that whole if you have like the middle way, then you have negativity and despair on one side, and you have positivity and enjoyment on the other side. Do you feel that you're swaying from the middle way?
I guess, like if I had to think about it, I mean, it's just so deeply wordless and like embodied, kind of like a knowing that it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's like purposeful nihilism or something. Like in the sense that everything is everything. That you couldn't be further from the purpose, and yet nothing matters in the sense that it's like, kind of dreamlike. But there's also like an inherent compassion to it, right? Like you might say you have a dream. Like a lucid dream, you're dreaming, and I see like a crying person and I help them. But like, I know they're a figment of my imagination because I know I'm dreaming. And yet like there's no one there to stop the helping them, nor is there someone there to like feel not good enough for not helping them or not doing enough. And it's like, being lost, but in a way that there's a kind of confusion here. And I think I've talked about this before, like the idea that I to some extent, I sort of feel like maybe there's something stuck, or maybe there's something I need help with. And then there's like some inclination to ask about it. And then there's like a quick recognition, like, oh, I think they could just tell me like, oh, just be with what's already here. And then I just be with what's already here. And it's like, so I really don't, there's not, like the things are still like catching, but not for more than like a second. To be somewhere else for more than a second.
Yeah, the reason why I asked you, it wasn't so much to give you a quick fix or anything. It's more to know that the way that I kind of see it, because I know exactly what you talk about, I know exactly where you're coming from, and there's so many different angles into this. But it is absolutely true that it is all meaningless. That there is no point of anything. That it is absolutely without any meaning at all. But that is not a negative thing, and it's not a positive thing. It's in the middle way. It's without meaning. So the moment you feel that it has a sway to one side, there's an underlying belief coloring the image of meaninglessness.
Right.
It needs to stay in the middle way, where there is no There is no underlying belief or persuasion or it needing to be okay or anything. It can only be in that open space where it just is as it is, and that is neither positive or negative. So the moment it starts to have a color of something, you have just made something out of nothing. And that is where you can catch yourself and can see that, oh, right now I actually have like that there's like a negative tone to what I'm talking about, or there's a positive tone to what I'm talking about. That is when we're in the pendulum going like that. And when we have a belief, we are holding on to something that has to be true. And that is fragile because there is nothing to hold on to. What you're talking about is that I heard a really good description of it, that it's like being on a train that is like a runaway train. And you have looked out the window and seen that the track is out. But everybody on the train don't know that the track is out. So people are talking about sitting and doing selfies and are talking about how they look and are talking about politics and are talking about all of that. And you yell to them, the track is out. You know, that we're going to plummet into nothingness. The track is out and nobody hears you. And somebody is sitting and playing chess and asking you, do you want to play chess? And you're like, why the fuck do I want to play chess? I mean, the track is out, you know? But at some point you realize that, yeah, you can sit down and play chess here. It doesn't matter if you're playing chess or if you're yelling to deaf ears that the track is out. It doesn't matter. The tracks are still out. So you can sit down and play chess and just be with what is here without a positive or negative, but knowing that it doesn't matter and it is all meaningless. But it doesn't have the negative connotation like nihilism, and it doesn't have the self in the middle that will eventually die at some point and the earth will explode and we are all doomed. It's not the nihilism I'm talking about. Then if that is what you either hear or you feel, you have just taken it off the middle way. There's a tone that is not actually there, that you have just added to it. You just made something out of nothing. In the middle way, there is just this, and there is nothing negative or positive about it. It is just in this what is arising right now. And in that, you can help a puppy from drowning or not.
But you can have that feeling of freedom because of that. Because, you know, when you're locked in, exactly what Pernilla said, to either direction, you're kind of trapped into that thought, which is binding you. And so when you can be in the middle way where you're not being bound by either the idea that, you know, it needs to be meaningful in order for me to feel okay with life, or if it's meaningless, I'm going to feel deeply despondent and it's not worth living. Either of those are just these, you know, extreme overgeneralizations or caricatures created by the mind. What was really here in the middle is that sense of freedom where you can just be and things are fine to play out the way they play out. And the thing that I wanted to not push back on, but touch on a bit is like when you said about, you know, helping somebody, great, you're still helping them, but you said, you know, that they're, you know, a figment of your imagination. They're yes and no, right? Like they are and they're not. We can run into the risk of like solipsism when we really take it literally, that nobody is out there and this is all just my own dream and all of that, which is taking the metaphor too far. You know, we're sitting here for 3 hours because there are people out there. You know, we're interacting with people who really are living their lives and suffering in different ways. And, you know, we're all here helping each other out and talking to each other. Yes, none of you exist the way that we see you all, right? We're seeing people's faces on a computer screen and we're interpreting them through all of our conditioning and all of our coloring and filtering, and the image that we have in our mind does not bear any resemblance to what is actually sitting on a computer screen in another part of the country or the world. That's completely different. But it doesn't mean that those don't exist at all either. And so it's really keeping both of those equally in mind, that we can help other people because it matters for them in some way, but also not being deeply attached to it, needing to mean something more than it does, or needing to be, self-aggrandized importance or any of that. None of that has to come online. It's just this meeting of beings and this interaction that happens, and also the recognition that I'm speaking and seeing out of my conditionality, and you are not the way that I think you are. And you are not the way that you think you are. And we are not the way you think we are. And all of that is this weird interaction that's happening, but the interaction is still happening. It's just, not happening the way that any of us actually perceive it to be.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the one thing that I want to clarify is I meant like the very specific context of having a lucid dream. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you see a dream character,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because
Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha,
but
gotcha.
I think like go back to the nihilism thing. It's like you get to have nihilism, except you can't believe in nihilism.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like, right? Because if you, and I think that that's part of what my despair for so long was. Like, I think this ties into things that a couple of other people have said today. But like, there was this feeling of like, I realized for a very long time, like I wanted to die or I wanted to kill myself. Was There was like a constellation of feelings,
Mhm.
much
Yeah.
like the constellation of like there's kind of a pinching, gurgling, whirling sensation and a hollowness in the stomach around lunchtime, and that means I'm hungry. And it's like,
Yeah,
well, we don't think that means I'm hungry. We just kind of like intuitively we've conditioned ourselves to recognize that that's what that constellation of symptoms means, or constellation of experiences, and that like had happened with some set of like feelings in the body, kind of like a almost like homesickness, like a this kind of like a hollowness in the low abdomen, and maybe like a little bit of tension in the neck, and
Mhm.
and then maybe like things were feeling like a little bit slowed down or something. And the combination of these, I had named I want to kill myself,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
that essentially like once I just was like sink all the way into it, um, like that feeling can arise again. It just doesn't mean anything.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I love
You know what
that.
I mean? And so it's like it reminds me of what I forget who you were. Maybe it was Maria that you were talking to, and it was about like you like maybe that depression never goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that realization. It was like devastating a couple of weeks ago, or maybe months ago. Well, I was walking and I was on a walk and I was like looking at the sky, and it felt like I would like just the entire weight of my body just dropped out through my pelvis.
Yeah.
Like I just suddenly like a sack of rocks, and I maybe I said this before, but like I suddenly realized like, oh, I'm never gonna get better. Like, this is not get like, and but not in a hopeless way. Like in
Mm,
a way where it was like secretly saying like, and it doesn't have to.
mm,
Like
Yeah.
you could
yeah,
feel horribly depressed for the rest of your life, and it's gonna be just fine that way,
Yeah.
like because
yeah,
that's what it is. And it so it was like it was that thing, that middle thing, but it's
yeah.
And
not
and
knowable as a thing.
no,
I don't.
exactly.
And that's why I like can't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also what we talked to Mark about, that is really having that that you can only have the idea that there's something wrong with that in comparison to something else. In and of its own, there is nothing wrong with having that. I really don't want to live anymore. There is nothing wrong with that. It's just a thought. It can
Mm-hmm.
be investigated to where it comes from. It can be investigated to what are you diverting from?
Mm,
What is it that I don't want to feel? Because for most people, it's not that they want to die. It's just that what is right now, they don't want anymore.
no.
So, what is it right
Mm-hmm.
now you don't want anymore? And that can be inquired into.
Mm-hmm. And apparently, ice cold water makes it inescapable
Yeah, do you know
for
why?
me.
Do you know why? It's because when you when I love ice cold water, I have to say. So when you go in, either have like a splash over your head with ice cold water, or you sink yourself into ice cold water, the part of the brain that realizes that if you stay here, you die, kicks in immediately. And that is when we try, the entire body goes into panic mode to get away from it. So you're snapping out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the craziest thing for me is that there's a moment where it's like hyperventilating and
Yeah.
you have to be careful that you don't make yourself pass out.
Yeah.
But then like just on the other side of it, it's like what the hell? Like it's just as intense, if
Yeah.
not more intense than it was when I was hyperventilating. But my entire body just relaxes. Maybe it's a little bit like when you see like an animal get picked up by like a hawk and they're like they're they're well, I saw this. I wish I could have gotten a video of it because it was just like horrifying and beautiful at the same time. Like a
Yeah.
full-size rabbit got picked up by a hawk
Yeah.
maybe 25 feet from me on campus, and it flew by, and you can see that it's like completely like ragdoll mode
Yeah.
because it's like, it's kind of shut down, but like
Yeah.
you get to have your cake and eat it too in that mode where it's
Yeah,
like you're shut down, but you're also fully here. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to do anything about it anymore.
yeah.
Um, but like anyway, yeah.
It's funny because it also reminded me, we saw an Insta video recently of a woman who gets panic attacks, and she was suggesting the thing that she has found that shuts down the
Yeah.
panic attacks is she has these candies that are like they're supposed to be like the most sour candy on earth, and they're like these little balls that are covered in some sort of a powder. And she like as soon as a panic attack starts, she pops one of those in, and it is like she's like her eyes are watering, like it's just
It's so sour.
smacks you because it's so sour. And she said it just shuts down the panic attack because you can't think of anything else. It just completely shuts off your thoughts because it is just sour, like
Yeah.
in the most intense way. So she was recommending for people with panic attacks to
Yeah.
eat these super
Heal
sour
them.
candies.
Well,
Yeah.
that was my other joke too. Is it's like because I've been like looking into it. Like there's one of those demotivation joke like posters. It's have a panic attack, you've earned it. And I love it. You know, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, well, thank you.
Hi, Fawn. I'm really happy you're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always a joy when you come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I've not given up. A
No.
lot of people around me have, and it's not their fault. I mean,
No.
I can see the blamelessness of it, but the compassion thing, like, will get me in trouble. I can't say it out loud in public, because things like, ultimately, in my mind, like, kind of everyone is blameless. Even the people who are doing the most cruel and harmful things, in the world that we're seeing a lot about now. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean there's no accountability.
No.
Or
No.
that there should be no accountability. But I just mean that like what a tragedy to be born into an incarnation where this is what you're drawn to,
Yeah.
and it's like a sense of compassion and but not quite pity. I mean, I think there's a pity is like the kind of near enemy of the compassion, but that gets really painful very quickly. Like there was kind of a hollowness that I felt I touched into for a while. And I thought, maybe that was like, that I was like some kind of psychopath. Because it originally got triggered by MDMA. And I explained this to a friend of mine, and he was like, yeah, that's not a thing. Like, people don't feel like cold and isolated, and like, I called it the infinite orphan. Like, just bottomless aloneness. And I came to recognize later that actually, no, this is like the ultimately most clean burning fire of compassion, and it's just so even-handed that it can love even a psychopathic murderer.
Yeah.
But it's also that
And
there's
that's a really painful.
but John, there's nobody. I love Robert Sapolsky, right? And he has made a lot of studies about free will. And what we know about neuroscience, we know that there is nobody that can be blamed for being a psychopathic murder. you can't blame them for that. You can only have compassion to it. You cannot blame a teenager for having a fit or a toddler throwing a tantrum. You cannot blame a rapist or a murderer. You cannot blame them because their biochemistry and their endocrinology and their wiring and all of that. It's just like Sam what's
Sam
his name?
Harris.
Sam Harris.
Yeah.
He talks about that if you have one of those self-driving cars and it just drives off the road, you're not blaming the car because it's just an autonomous driving vehicle. So are we. You cannot. Oh, bless you. You cannot blame anything that is arising. You can only have compassion for that happening because nobody would choose to be a psychopathic murderer or a rapist or,
Right.
a 3-year-old is not choosing to throw a tantrum. It's just the nervous system cannot do anything else than what is happening right now. And all that
Yeah,
you can
there's no
compassion.
Yeah.
No.
No,
there's no
no.
prime mover. There's no like thing we can go all the way back to and be like, that's where you fucked up,
No.
Exactly.
because it's all made of everything else.
Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But like you said, we also, the rest of that metaphor with the autonomous vehicle is if it's, driving into people and killing them, you still take the car off the road and try to repair it and, rehabilitate it so it can go and drive safely without killing people.
Right.
Which totally makes
Likewise
sense.
with
So
the
it's like that's your, accountability. Yes, in a society, yes,
Absolutely.
but blame is not necessary part of that accountability.
Yeah. And that,
absolutely.
right. Because if you've demonstrated that you have no remorse and that you can't help but kill people, then we don't have to hate you, but we can absolutely, remove you from society.
Exactly.
And keep you in a place where you don't have access to that set of behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also what we're finding out now with we know so much more about the brain of what is turning areas on and turning areas off in the brain. It's a matter of decades that until we have peptides or medication or something that can turn things on and off in the brain. So a psychopathic murderer is not a psychopathic murderer anymore.
Fingers crossed.
I'm quite
yeah,
sure.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Unknowable. The future is
yeah.
unknowable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Well,
thank you so much. It was really good seeing you again.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big John fan, so I'm happy you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have created a course of our first Fetter material. This course will walk you step by step through all of the ways in which identification is created and selfing happens. If you've been struggling to see through the self-structure or have that first awakening shift, this course contains hundreds of tools to help you discover the selfing mechanisms when they're happening, and then see through the illusion of identification that are created. Along with over 14 hours of videos, this $49 course contains a full book worth of summaries, extrapolations on the videos, written inquiry suggestions, and other text. So work slowly, leave time for integration. This is powerful material and it can be life-changing.